Stop motion animation has been considered by many animation fans to be a rare species in the animation industry. Nowadays, people are arguing between 2D and 3D animation. Admittedly, there are plenty of well-known stop-motion projects people can't stop talking about, like The Nightmare Before Christmas during the holidays, Wallace and Gromit for their tremendous inventions and adventures, Gumby for his incredible shape-shifting clay abilities, Coraline being a dark Alice in Wonderland movie based on an actual book by Neil Gaiman, or even the first ever King Kong movie for how the eighth wonder of the world was presented. But one stop motion in particular that I want to talk about is a film that I constantly watch during the autumn season. That would be Fantastic Mr. Fox. But first, some backgrounds. It all began in 2006 when 20th Century Fox Animation bought the film rights to Fantastic Mr. Fox based on the 1970 novel by Roald Dahl. During development, it was originally going to be a collaboration between Henry Selick and Wes Anderson, but Selick left to work on Coraline. Now with Wes Anderson, he has become one of the most fascinating directors in Hollywood. He is known for such amazing films like Moonrise Kingdom, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Isle of Dogs. Many say they are known for their peculiarity, characteristic visuals, and narrative styles. He decided to direct Fantastic Mr. Fox because it was the first ever book he ever owned and Roald Dahl was one of his heroes. It was not only the first animated film he directed, but his first family film. When the movie was released on November 13, 2009, it received critical acclaim from both critics and audiences. Unfortunately, it was considered a box office bomb, earning $46.5 million against its $40 million budget. The reason behind this tragedy was that it was up again and got overshadowed by pointless movies franchises like The Twilight Saga New Moon and Alvin and the Chipmunks The Squeakquel. But there was one thing those franchises never had in their films: marvelous nominations. It got nominated at the BAFTA, Annies, and Oscars for Best Animated Feature, but lost to Pixar's Up. Plus, Time Magazine ranked it as one of the 25 all-time best animated films, and some people like me look upon this film as a splendid movie to watch during November for Thanksgiving. Now that we got all that covered, let's get into the film. It's about Mr. Fox, who used to steal birds for a living but quit to raise a family and work as a newspaperman. Then one day, after his family moved to a new home, he decided to pull off one more big heist from three nasty farmers, Bogus, Bunce, and Bean. But his thievery put him, his family, and the rest of the animals in danger, leading to an all-out war between the animals and the farmers for the food and the animals' survival. I'll admit, I never read the book it was based on, so this was the perspective of a newcomer to this animal story. But I gotta say, I was invested with the world building. On the human side, the people lived down to earth just like in real life, but having that old-timey atmosphere from the 20th century. And on the animal community, the animals share the same adaptations as the humans, including playing sports, having a job, and living in a suburban-like home, but maintain their wild animal behavior. There is also the humor of the film. It's not a laugh-out-loud comedy per se, but the jokes are funny to hear. You can tell that some were improvised, like an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway, yet the timing, payoffs, and deliveries help make the movie entertaining. Another thing that is enjoyable is the heart of the movie regarding family. Mr. Fox is stuck in between two places of being a father and wanting to go back to the good old days to live up his name as a quote-unquote fantastic Mr. Fox. There is a side plot involving Ash and Kristofferson arguing with each other, and it actually connects to the plot of the movie on what it means to be a fantastic person. It is predictable that the two eventually get along with each other, but they don't hammer in the side plot that much. There is even a great sense of foreshadowing in some particular elements that occur in some scenes, and they are subtle and gives you an idea of what's to come later. The main protagonist, Mr. Fox, is a retired bird stealer that wants to pull off one more heist to uphold his reputation. What makes him a likable character is that he's one of the main characters that had to learn the hard way on swallowing his pride on being fantastic, and how that pride ended up jeopardizing him, his family, and friends. However, he is a likable and well-written character, having this smart aleck personality. As for his family, there's Felicity, his wife that cares about her husband and the kids' safety. Ash is Mr. Fox's moody son that wants to be an athlete just like his dad, but everybody says he's different and he can't fully follow in his dad's footsteps. And of course, he would get overshadowed by his cousin Christopherson, a kind boy who has natural talent that stays with the Fox family until his father gets better from a serious illness. At first, Ash doesn't get along with him due to his cousin's popularity, but they slowly grow a friendship and reach a compromise. Outside of the Foxes, there is Kylie, the comic relief who accompanied Mr. Fox on his highs and had the best jokes in the movie. Badger is Mr. Fox's lawyer and the secondary voice of reason to him next to Felicity. And Rat is one of the obstacles that the gang has to face since he's working with the main villain of the film, Bogus Bunsen Bean. Speaking of which, the farmers are a love-to-hate kind of villains thanks to their characteristics and personalities that make themselves stand out, while Bean is the ruthless and menacing farmer among the three, and they would go through many lengths to hunt down and kill Mr. Fox once and for all. What's even more fantastic, possible pun intended, is that this movie has a huge all-star cast. George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Jason Schwartzman, William Dafoe, Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, and Michael Gambon. Even Wes Anderson lent his voice in his own movie as Stan Weasel, the real estate investor that talks on his phone and sold the home tree to Mr. Fox at the beginning of the movie. And of course, you can't have a Wes Anderson movie without his signature production style in cinema, but as an animated movie, it's completely spot on. Starting with the designs, the humans have more of that Will Vinton look to them in order to match their personalities, while the animals have wonderful textures on their fur. The character animation has some realistic movements, while it has some over-the-top moments on the animal side whenever they act wild. The best case about this is some of the heist and chase scenes. They can get intense, present some fun slapstick, and create scenarios whenever the characters pull off the perfect heist. With the background animation, it's a movie where autumn has taken over everything. All the backgrounds have fall colors on them like red, yellow, orange, and even brown. No pinks or greens or aquamarines. The only blue color that appear in this is on Christopherson to signify that he's a visitor from our town. In addition, the movie utilized some excellent cinematography. Whenever the camera pans or zooms on a certain area or place filled with rooms, even when the characters are running around, the movie took careful attention to show every clear shot in every angle. And many of the effects like fire and water do fit in this stop motion film. I must admit, those meals that Mr. Fox and his friends raw and serve at the dinner table did make me hungry for some chicken. If Die Hard can be considered a Christmas movie, then we might as well call this a Thanksgiving film, and it fully lives up to its name. Fantastic Mr. Fox is a breathtaking animation movie that deserves a lot of attention with wonderful animation, a fun engaging story, solid humor, enjoyable chase and heist scenes, and some lovable and memorable characters. This is a must watch for everyone, even during the fall or Thanksgiving season. I still consider it as my favorite Wes Anderson movie. And now, without further ado, I hereby give this movie an A and the Diploma of Destiny. It does remain a mystery on what Roald Dahl would feel about this adaptation since he's no longer among the living. However, you can definitely tell that Wes Anderson was truly thankful to the author for the original Mr. Fox book. He's so thankful to him, the entire look of the film is a tribute to Dahl's hometown, Great Bissenden. Felicity Fox was named after his widow, and Mr. Fox's study and recordings of his master plan is exactly how Dahl used to write his stories on old photographs. I may not have read the book it was based on myself yet, but I know a fascinating and complimentary anime flick when I see one. Ha! Yeah, I can't whistle. This is the best alternative. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe me for a new review and other project every week. I'll see you soon.